I'm Barry Kislowitz, and welcome back to another episode of Leadership Lenses, the podcast designed for heads of school, principals, and anyone else out there who wants to enhance and improve Jewish education and Jewish day schools. We are thrilled to have with us today a relatively new head, not new to education, but new to our particular school, Dr. Casey Weiss of Community Day School in Pittsburgh. Casey herself is a graduate of Community Day, class of 2000. So we have a little shout out there to day school graduates coming back. And after some time living in Israel, some time teaching in the Pittsburgh public schools and serving as an administrator at the Hillel Day School, a local Orthodox day school in Pittsburgh, she has recently both completed her doctorate at Duquesne University, and we'll talk a little bit about that, and stepped into the role of head of school of Community Day School, the school where her own two children attend. Casey, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for having me, Barry.
And so first, just to situate us, when exactly did you step in as new head of Community Day?
So I'm in year 2. So I took the reins. It was July 1, 2 years ago. And then I was lucky enough to be right down the block in true Pittsburgh fashion. I have sort of made my way down Beechwood Boulevard for folks that know Jewish Pittsburgh, AKA Squirrel Hill. So I started my career in the 2s and 3s room at the Jewish Community Center. And then I went up the street to Pittsburgh Public's Colfax, which is the K-8 in our Squirrel Hill neighborhood. And then I migrated a little further west to Hillel Academy and finally back to the school that raised me, CDS. So we're all within under a mile. So I was fortunate once I was named January prior to my start date to really have a very robust transition. So I sort of had a hat in both lanes, if you will. I was, full-time at Hillel Academy, but I was also doing a lot of observations and discussions and interviews and listening to all of our constituents and stakeholders at CDS to sort of get to know the place again as an adult and as the new leader of the school. So 2 years, but really more like 2.5.
Well, right. And also 2.5 years as head of school is about 25 years in like regular life terms, right?
Exactly.
So how was it? I mean, you're in this tight-knit community. We're going to talk about community, your role in the community and all those pieces. But just to start with a school, what was it like for you 2 years ago to step in as a new head of school?
So hard-ish. It's hard when you come back to a place and you remember a place and you were raised in a place and it's different. And yet it should be different, right? Lots and lots of years have passed. And so I think my initial sort of shock of, okay, I'm now the leader, right? And that shift between being a student at the school and now being a leader and sort of wearing all of the lenses, right? Like framing my entry as a researcher, right? I just had finished my dissertation work and completed my doctorate at Duquesne. So I was really thinking in terms of data, right? Like mixed methods, qualitative, quantitative data. What are my numbers? What is our financial position? What does our enrollment position look like, right? But what are people saying? How do they feel about the word community in Community Day School? And what does it mean to have a rigorous math curriculum in middle school, right? And so I was really like wearing that hat. And then I think I was also, and hopefully less so now, but having a lot of emotions, right? Like I try to think data, and this is like one of the most important places in the whole wide world to me, and I think more broadly to Jewish Pittsburgh. And so I think that it was hard to sort of say, this is it, like buckle your seatbelt. There's going to be surprises. There's going to be some hard feelings. There's going to be, and I think this is the word I would use to characterize my entry into the school. There's going to be some change. And while we can be thoughtful and while we can process and reflect and have deep conversations, and I'm sure there were some misses along the way, I am very rooted still, as I was the day I was named, in that Community Day School should be a premier, excellent day school recognized nationally. And there is nothing, Barry, that keeps me off of that goal. Laser focus. So while it's hard, laser focused on achieving that goal. And I think that we have done, and I hope I'm able to share with you during our time together, some incredible things to evolve the school forward.
Okay, so I want to touch on two of those pieces. We'll go one at a time. First, on that emotional piece, just to highlight that, right? You coming back to your own school, and this is true for many of us who stepped in as heads. I know many heads weren't expecting to be heads exactly when it happened, but then it just happened. So, like, you kind of come to school dressed in your new professional clothing that seems like it's a little bit too big and it doesn't quite fit right. And, like, wait, I'm supposed to sit in the chair on that side of the desk. I thought I was like a kid who just got called to the principal's office. So, what was helpful to you, and maybe is still helpful to you, in navigating some of those really significant and meaningful emotions in that change?
Sorry if this sounds corny, but being your authentic self, right? Like, yes, we wear a lot of hats, right? And who Casey Weiss is in the boardroom might be really different than when I'm in my full fledged, you heard it here first, Barry, blow up purple dino costume because I'm the Shabbat dinosaur at Kabbalat Shabbat, right? Those are two different versions of me, but they are me. And I think very quickly when I came here and who I am still to this day, and I have so many people to thank. I think actually sort of being raised professionally in Pittsburgh public schools was a tremendous opportunity. I'm getting my boots in the mud, period sign. My role is head of school. I am not better than that is the way I am serving, right? That is where I believe I'm on a shlichut. I think Hashem brought me here at this exact moment in time to do what I am doing, but let's get this work done. And so to answer your question, I think that having some of the shell shock moments, having that sort of that phrase, right, imposter syndrome, my response to that was like, let's do this. Let's do this thing. Let's get out. Let's start collecting the garbage. Let's get out and let's start going in kindergarten and saying, hey, give me a phonics group. Let's serve lunch, right? Let's be on the field. Like I don't know if you can tell, but I have a lot of energy. But
That comes through just a little bit.
right, just a little bit. But I also think like let's be real. Be if you want to be a leader, then walk the walk, right? Yes, there are moments to be in our office. There are moments to write grants. There are moments to think deeply about our Divrei Torah in our weekly newsletters. But there's also the notion of being out there. And I think for me, it became crystal clear how important that was going to be, particularly coming off of a 20-year tenure, right? Beloved head of school, someone who was here, who was a culture setter, who was so many wonderful things. And really, Avi brought this school really, really far. And there's this trust. You've a 20-year leader. And so I knew from day one, being my authentic self and just showing up in all ways at all times to be there, right? To give a kid a high five, to serve them their pizza lunch, just to be at carpool line and to really be a presence, I think is actually the way that I was able to sort of forge through what I call some of the white noise and some of the uncomfortability of newness and of change. Because to be clear, while I've made a ton of change and with my team, I think the biggest change for the institution is me. I think the biggest change for the school is a new CEO, is a new head of school after so many years. And so I don't know. I also don't know in the beginning that I understood the gravity of that. And I think I really do now in year two. Yeah.
Well, it might be good that you didn't understand the gravity of it because you might not have taken the job so easily.
Yeah.
No, and you referenced Avi, who's Avi Baron Monroe, who is the head of school there for, as you said, over 2 decades. And you come in, you're making these changes. I love it. I just want to highlight what you said because when I'm coaching heads, I say this all the time, right? It's so easy to get stuck in your office. It's so easy to get focused on these big, this is what I do as a leader, but holding the door open for the kids and going to play ball with them at recess. And I do want to know what time so we can make sure someone takes a picture of you in the purple dinosaur costume. But doing all of that stuff, sitting on the floor with the kids is what gives us the energy, is what fuels us. And it is hugely important. That's presence, that's leadership. And it doesn't let you get stuck behind a closed office door and be removed. So I really love those emphases that you highlighted there.
Thank you.
So when you're running around the school, you're doing all this like in the mud sort of stuff, you also are talking about moving the school forward and creating this premier, excellent, nationally known Jewish day school in terms of its educational program, performance, etc. So how do you do that? If you can maybe start just by listing for us like what does it mean to be a premier day school? What would that look like at Community Day?
Great. And that will lead me into one of the key areas of focus, which of course is infrastructure and capital, which you didn't name, but let's hit that.
Okay.
Here's the deal. And I feel like we're almost a broken record, right? Like Brett Stevens can say it, and Dan Senior can say it, and Paul Bernstein can say it, and I can say it, and we're just going to continue to say it. And it doesn't matter to me if you're a grandma of a day school student, if you're a parent, if you're a family that's multi-generational from your city. I'm going to say it again. The best way to combat anti-Semitism is to raise proud Jews. And we do that by living Jewishly. And we do that when we are deeply immersed in Jewish community. To me, that's Jewish day school and Jewish camps. That's it. And so under that, you have to be excellent. We have to be excellent. What does that mean? That means understanding how AI works and how we're incorporating it into curriculum. That means having the best professional development possible for our teachers where they're not staring at PowerPoints, right? Where they're role playing, where they're engaging with top experts. That means to me, and this is one of my dreams, I haven't hit it yet, but I will. When I say things out loud, I bring them into, it's like a challenge. Free hot lunch for all students. Okay. Like kosher food is a lot, costs a lot of money. I'm working tirelessly to secure that. I think that makes us excellent. Having phenomenal infrastructure. One of the things I have been focusing on very seriously is upping our athletic game, right? So awesome. We have cross country and we have basketball. We now have, for the first time ever, and I don't know how many other Jewish day schools can say this, we have girls flag football and we're crushing it. And we just added girls volleyball. And I'm funding for our turf field and our track, right? Like excellent in all ways. It means excellent staff, excellent facilities. I'm going to say another one that I think is crucial. And I think it's crucial for all of our schools, right? I don't need to label, but whether we're an Orthodox school, pluralistic, day school, progressive, whatever the term you want to use, I believe that, and this is kind of an out of the box statement probably, Jewish day schools should be centers of Jewish communal life in every city. We have shuls. It's amazing. We have JCCs. It's wonderful. A lot of our communities have fantastic parks, right? But to me, our families more and more, especially at a day school, right? Where we have over 60% of our families are unaffiliated. This is where they're baking hamantashen. This is where their kids are playing soccer on a Sunday morning, and so Barry, to be excellent, I think we need to be offering parent classes and book clubs and maj groups and, baking opportunities and just as much as we can possibly do, not only to bring our families, right, our enrolled families to campus, but the broader Jewish community, right? And have our space be a space that's sort of more inclusive and shared. So I think community engagement, I think really getting our finances in order was one of my top priorities, not understanding what that looks like, right? Like what is a healthy faculty to student ratio and what are our offerings? And I guess, beyond that, right? What are we? We're a school. We're a school.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, being excellent means pause. What are we doing with our mathematics curriculum? We know that based on the ERB scores or the MAP scores, right? Here's this piecemeal thing. Let's explore why Singapore math, right? Why math and focus and as a streamlined approach matters. How can I actually embed more mathematics classes within the week, right? So like being top of the game in science, I really think being excellent Jewishly means, right, fluency in modern Hebrew, understanding how to pick up a chumash and dissect it. But it also just means being excellent, right? Kids that graduate from our schools, whether they're K-8s or K-12s, should be top of their game in whatever they want to do. I don't care if they want to be a pastry chef. I don't care. I think it'd be amazing if they want to be a teacher, right? Or if they want to be a surgeon. But they should know that they strive for excellence and that they want to bring their very best. And our day schools, to me, should be very seriously looked at as a possibility for every single Jewish family. That's my goal.
Okay, so look, I love this. I would characterize what you're saying as like, you are all in. You didn't say, hey, I'd like to focus on math or I'd like to focus on PD. You're like, we are going to do it all, and I'm not going to rest until we do it all. For those you listening, I just got a big thumbs up from Casey. So yes, absolutely. And I love that. I think that that's amazing. I think that there is, and I once heard at a day school affordability conference, Richard Joel make the statement that we actually don't have a shortage of money anywhere. We just have a shortage of good ideas. And if we come up with the right inspiration, idea, strategy, then the money will come. But sometimes our focus in Jewish day schools is kind of beaten down almost. Like, oh, we just got to keep this going. And whether you're a community day school and maybe you're thinking enrollment and engagement that way, or you're an Orthodox day school and you have parents enrolled, but they're not happy and you're trying to engage them. So I love the inspiration that comes with your approach. I want to try and pick out a couple of the points and get you just to expand a little bit. Tell me about your school being a center for Jewish life for the families. That's fascinating. I think super powerful.
Okay. So when I started my tenure, we created a campaign called Do Jewish. And it's just what it sounds like. Do it. Right. And so Do Jewish means experiential Jewish programming and learning for our broad community. And so we have taken, I think, a unique approach. I'll call it a piloting approach. We have had a plethora of additional augmented programming beyond the school day. And what we do is we put a program on, we see how it lands, right? Is attendance 4 people? Is it 20? And so we've sort of done a two-pronged approach. One of those prongs is really inclusive of our CDS families. So just last week, we did a Do Jewish Tu B'Shvat, where all of our families, parents, grandparents, welcomed in Shabbat, beautiful Kabbalat Shabbat. And then we did an art project, right? Where we made these beautiful Tu B'Shvat boards and we had a mini Seder with the dried fruit. Fabulous. Then we're actually also putting on these broader community events. So our two signatures in 2 years have become Fall Fest and Winter Fest. And when I say successful programs, I'm talking about upwards of 500 people, 500, 600 people. And I'm talking
and
about—
just tell us, how big is enrollment so we understand relative to your school, how big is that?
When I came into the school, there were 269 total students. And right now our projection for the fall is 316. Yes.
Amazing. That is amazing.
And we are right now at 299 this school year. So it's been tremendous. Amazing. And I think that that's a great sort of point, right? Tangentially, these types of programs, while not exclusively admissions or enrollment programs, naturally lend themselves to that, right? It doesn't mean that every single family that's attending one of our events is coming to our school, nor is that the point. But what a blessing if they come to this campus and they see what's happening and they're like, hey, we want to take a tour. So just to kind of pedal back for a moment with Fall Fest and Winter Fest, because I think that that's like super interesting. They're just these mega events to celebrate Sukkot, right? Sukkot. But the purpose is a massive, incredibly beautiful, just stunning event is how I would describe it. Like a bar bat mitzvah on steroids, if I can. So like the best balloon people, the best ice cream bar, Chalav Israel kosher, right? The most amazing bounce houses. Chabad comes and does an event, and we have usually 20 to 30 community partners that are doing this fall and winter fest with us. And by the way, Chabad kids are here, kids from Yeshiva, kids from Hillel Academy, kids from prep schools, non-Jewish, independent schools, kids from Pittsburgh Public. Like, it is so diverse. And it's just this amazing moment in time, these 2 hours where we just get to celebrate as Jews. And the whole purpose of Fall Fest and Winter Fest, and then as Do Jewish, I'll get into some more intellectual programming, but the purpose of those is family fun. It's not about a lecture. It's not about us sitting and listening to adult. It's just about hands-on. Like, I just walked away and had the best 2 hours of Hanukkah. That's the purpose.
Amazing. Amazing.
Other Jewish kids feeling great about that and doing it in the best possible way. And so that's like, Friendship Circle is one of our community partners, and they're across the country. It's a inclusion organization of Chabad. They have bunny bakes in Pittsburgh. They have this artisanal bakery. They come and do mass sugar cookie decorating, right? But it's all the different partners. We have shuls partnering with us and the JCC. And so, yeah.
So why is it that, your Fall Fest, your Winter Fest, why is it that you decided this isn't, clearly it's not just a community day event. This is a community writ large event. Why'd you do that?
Well, I'm going to be real. Times are tough. I don't like doing the woe is me. I'm not that kind of girl, but I will say, we had COVID. Okay. I lived through COVID as a Pittsburgh public school 4th grade English teacher, and it just did not devastate Pittsburgh public kids. It devastated our world, in our society, right? The inability to be with one another, the social isolation, that's a factor, right? Now let's put our Jewish lens on, like October 7th. We're all still reeling from that. Now let's pile on financial instability. Families are struggling. They are struggling to buy kosher meat. They are struggling to belong to shul. And so there are more things I could list in the doomsday world, but I will just say this: people need this. People want to be around other people and celebrate being Jewish and have fun. And by the way, every single Jewish thing we do is 100% free. Free. Just come on. Oh yeah, it's one of my favorite things to fundraise for. The reason I think it's a no-brainer, and I saw a need in our community, and I think I'm not alone, right? And we're not alone. There are so many other things we are doing. For example, this is not Jewish related, but more of this sort of communal approach to school. We just did Jonathan Haidt's Anxious Generation. We did a book club. We are hosting PA Mahjong for any adult that wants to do that. So like in addition to these sort of young family programs, we're doing more and more offerings and kind of seeing what sticks. We have Gail Hoffman coming, Stand With Us, and Classrooms Without Borders, and our local newspaper, the Jewish Chronicle, are co-sponsoring that event. And it's sort of like, is the world against us through the lens of the media and awareness of anti-Semitism. Again, I know I'm not alone, and there's other organizations in Pittsburgh doing this beautifully and probably nationally. But I think that just rethinking who we are, like Jewish day schools are communities, right? We're not open from 8 to 3:30 and bye. And so really, what is our sort of value added? What differentiates us? How am I explaining why you should either donate to this school, come to one of our events, send your children to our school? It's because we're a community. In addition to being an amazing school, you can't get that anywhere except for in Jewish day schools, in my opinion. Not the way we do it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And look, I completely agree. As a head of school, I literally had emblazoned across our school lobby the words more than a school, a community. At the time, I thought I'd come up with them, but they seem to be on every school's website. So I don't know. Maybe they owe me some copyright. But I completely get that. And again, I applaud the thinking big, right? It's what you're saying, if I can kind of translate it, is you came into a new position. There's a tremendous amount of challenges. And the approach you've taken hasn't been, let's start a little bit. The approach you've taken is like, go big or go home. We're going to take this MVP kind of, quick iteration approach of try this, try that, try this, try that, see what works, and then double down on what works. And it's not the approach that every head takes, veteran or new, because it requires a lot of energy and a lot of investment. You said something about finances in there. I want to pick up on that because it's an area for new and veteran heads that many people are scared of, right? I went into education. I didn't go into accounting. And I love being that rah-rah educator, inspirer. I don't want to do the budget. And it sounded just from what you said there that you spent some time with the budget.
Love it. I didn't know. I mean, I'm green. I'm only in year 2. Listen, I hope I want to come across as kind. And I also, before we do finances, want to say, and ... right? I'm learning a lot. I'm part of DSLTI. If we get into that, there are 2 things that can be true. There's a lot of nuance. And with my rip the Band-Aid off approach, right, came a lot of hard knocks, a lot of quick learning, apologies, right, from me, conversations I wish I would have landed differently. And quite frankly, realizing the importance of bringing people along. And the other piece that I'm continuously working on with my team, clarity and communication, right? So right now we're funding for the turf field and the track, and there are 1,000,001 reasons why. It has to do with excellence and upping our athletic game and our footprint in the community and just evolving our school really to make it the best possible place ever for our students. And all of that why really needs to be clearly articulated, and it needs to be understood and appreciated and adopted by our board and by our staff members and by the administrative team and the families. And so that piece, Barry, that's going to, I think, be my forever learning, is how can we land the changes or the decisions in a way that feels that the community has ownership, right? And that the community has a say, and that we're processing and reflecting and really just sharing the why. So I want you to know that while there's been a lot of change and fast moving, that piece of it is so crucial. I think also just to have a successful launch and then landing of whatever the thing is, right? Whether it's the free hot lunch program I'm trying to do or the new math curriculum that we've already implemented. Okay, now on to budget, my fave. So I'm going to say something that I hope lands respectfully. We are businesses. Day school. We are running businesses. And that is super important, right? What is our product and who are our customers? It's again, if we talk about like shlichut from Hashem, every neshama in front of us, our customers are literally the Jewish future. It's the children at the core, and then it's their parents. But those are our customers. What is our product? It is all of the things we have discussed, from how I'm opening a door to what the logo says on the wall, to how I'm greeting children in my morning meeting in third grade, to the email that I sent to follow up about color word. Our product is everything that really comes out of the institution, of the organization. To me, I have a big problem if I am the CEO of business and we are in dire straits financially. And I want to be very clear. I understand that the notion of Jewish day school is forever until we all just get fully funded. Come on, someone, please. But really, there's so much we could say. There's the tax credits, there's EITC. Even in Cleveland, right? The Mandels did this $90 million match. Like, there's amazing things happening in the Jewish world in terms of a philanthropic focus on day school, right? It's amazing. And
Absolutely.
we know that to bridge the gap between the cost, well, what's the true cost? What's our tuition? How are we handling scholarship? Like, it's a tough business to be in. I don't think it's as hard as the restaurant business, but it's hard. And yet we're a business, right? And so to me, not very sexy to say to donors, hey, can you give me 10 grand because I can't pay my teacher's salary? Like, that's not a place I want to be in.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm going to be frank, and this has been really hard. It's really hard. I began to study, and this is my doctorate, boom, researcher hat on. I began to study trends. And I think that when we consider what is a budget, let's go bigger. What is the financial state of the school? We're the business leader. What is the financial state? What are our levers? Right? And I've had amazing teachers along the way. I have a phenomenal CFO. I have heads of school that I go to all the time. Shout out to Rabbi Jordan Soffer, my coach, right? But what are the levers? Enrollment's a lever. Fundraising's a lever. Personnel cost is a lever, right? Infrastructure improvements, costs, and really foreseeing those. Like, what's the depreciation? What is this furniture worth in 5? What's the tech worth? Really, I put myself in school. I'm going to say that. I spent hours, 5-year-old, 4-year-old are in bed, husband's at the firehouse. Shout out to all first responders. My husband, Doug, is a city of Pittsburgh firefighter. But the bottom line is this: I had to teach myself a ton about what it means to be financially sustainable as a day school. And I'm going to say it, and they sound cutthroat. One of the patterns I noticed at this institution was a sharp increase in personnel and a decrease in enrollment. We were increasing adults and decreasing students. That was one of my biggest patterns that I noticed over the past decade. And so that's a hard one, Barry. That's figuring out who does what. That's examining schedules. Figuring out, is someone on a certain seat on the bus, and can that certain someone do something else excellently, and is their position something that can be consolidated? One of my favorites. When I came to the school, there was a family engagement coordinator who was really doing programming and all of this sort of what I was explaining as the augmented sort of add-on, right? And not in the way we're doing it now, but that was their role. And then we had an enrollment admissions person. And I said to myself, I didn't rip the Band-Aid off week 1, but I started saying to myself, these feel like one. If I am the director of admissions and enrollment, my role is to be engaging with young families and get them here, shouldn't I be planning the PJ Library events? Shouldn't I be hosting the Hanukkah carnival that we're right? And so that's one example where I merged 2 positions. I consolidated 2 administrative positions. And then there's 80K in savings. Okay.
Absolutely.
That's, I'm going to say, this is hard to do. This involves very challenging conversations, but sometimes, for me at least, it has involved a tremendous amount of professional growth for people. So I have another favorite one. This one's like, I think speaks volumes to what we could all be doing probably better in some ways. What do the students need? How are these adults serving students? If students are at the core of all of our decision making, if students are ultimately the customers that are in front of us, those precious neshamot, how are the adults that we have in place meeting their needs? And by the way, our CFO is meeting their needs by tackling financial aid. He's not teaching history, But one of my favorites that I did early on, we had 3 office managers. I kid you not. I had an assistant, there was a main office manager, and that main office manager had an assistant. I didn't need an
Okay.
assistant. I know some heads of school love it. I am good to roll. My former head of school's assistant is one of the most incredible humans on earth, and she is our executive administrator running everything front office. She didn't need an assistant. So what is the office assistant doing now? She is Chef Mo. She is my director of sustainability and food. And so she is doing cooking and baking and gardening and growing with all of our students, toddlers through 8th grade. So there you go. And by the way, Chef Mo loves it. You should see Chef Mo. She made power energy balls yesterday. They planted parts for Tu B'Shvat last week, right? Like, so she's on a seat on the bus where she feels proud of the work she's doing. We're maximizing the people in front of our students, and we're figuring out roles that make sense. So that's like from the personnel perspective. I think the other one that's really key, and again, I want to reiterate, Barry, I am self-taught. I am greener than green. Here's one of the things I realized quickly: fundraising. Okay. And I feel weird, like I'm the novice preaching to you, but so you know all this to be true. People want to feel like their gift is going somewhere meaningful. And one of the things I've really realized is that happens when we provide incredible storytelling, right? A narrative, and giving with specificity. I don't want to just give to your general fund. Where is this? What is this? And so I know that that's also like a hot button issue in development, right? Like designated versus undesignated, restricted versus unrestricted. I have found a lot of my sweet spot in the specific giving. And so, for example, one of the things I realized when I came back to the school that raised me was that it sort of looked the same. It just looked the same,
Yeah.
same. And that's okay. But I know that when we're touring families and also when we're meeting the needs of our current families, modular furniture, excellent technology, heterogeneous sort of, I don't really know how to describe it right now, but I wanted a cleaner, modern aesthetic. I knew that that was really important. And so the way that I did that, Barry, was I did it room by room. And by the way, we're in Squirrel Hill, so I did $18,000 per room. I was recently at a school, I won't name the school, they did $18K per mezuzah. We're not there yet, which is fine.
Yep.
But guess what? The whole building project we were able to do within reason, a little bit under $1 million, and we fundraised the whole thing last year.
Amazing. Amazing.
So I could go on and on with the finances, but I think that in a nutshell, we are business people. We need, and by the way, if people are not comfortable, like I was not comfortable, seek the advice, seek the help, right? Go to those people in your building that are the money people or that are on your board and school yourself. Because I think that the better we get at being more comfortable with finances and asking the tough questions, I think the more strategic decisions we're going to make for the success of our schools.
Yeah, absolutely. And that really comes through. And I loved hearing you say depreciation there as you were throwing that in. One of the things that I do in my own practice is actually do a finance crash course with new heads for that reason, because you come in knowing nothing and you're like, okay, what's a cash flow and a P&L and then a balance sheet and what are my net liabilities and assets? Like, what does all this mean? And the worst thing a head can do is be like, oh, I'm just going to give this to the CFO, because what you need to do is dive in, understand it, like you said, really learn about it, because that enables you to then make strategic decisions, right? Budget is strategy. Budget exemplifies our values. And if you don't understand and own that, like you don't have to make individual journal entries or reconciliations as a head, but you certainly need to understand your large scale trends. You certainly need to know, hey, we're not booking depreciation on this really old building. What's going to happen when we need to repair the roof? Or like anything else we need to do? We're going to have a major issue and we need to plan for that. And the trend you identified of staff to student ratios, all of those are crucial. They enable you to make strategic decisions. And even more than the specificity, I find that enables you to fundraise, because no one wants to give money into a black hole, specified or unspecified, right? But when you say, I know where every dollar's going, I know our trends, I know our strategy, I can tell you your funding, your philanthropy here is going to make a difference, and here's how. Well, okay, now you are a good steward of our community funds, and I'm much more inclined to give to you. And, obviously you got into so much here. We're just about hitting our time. There's a lot more I'd love to talk about, but Can you just give us 1 minute on the research side? I know you still do teaching, and that's important to you. You still teach at Duquesne, I believe, right? So tell us a little bit about how that still gives you the strength and the fuel to maintain this like crazy energy that you obviously bring to everything you're doing in your job.
Yeah. So listen, this is very, very hard. This means education. This is a whole industry. Choosing to become a teacher, choosing to pursue leadership in teaching and administration. Like it is the most holy work and it is so hard, right? We are trying to forge partnerships with home. We are trying to teach math. In our schools, we are trying to form a love of Yiddishkeit and all that that means. We are also trying our very, very best to promote social skills and those kind of dynamics. Like it is a beast, and I still believe it's the most sacred work. So for me, I've been an adjunct for 8 years at Carleton University in the master's program in education and now at Duquesne. And I guess what I would say I think is most interesting is plug, by the way, for this, but the course that I teach is something that I informed my dissertation work on giftedness in the least restricted environment. And that's the sort of realm of improvement science. And so I love improvement science. It is something that this is why the Swiffer was invented, by the way. There's the 5 whys, there's the Ishikawa diagrams, the fish diagrams. There's the famous Toyota, right, usage of it. And really, just to put it in a nutshell, improvement science is the notion that we are going to do some root cause analysis here. We're really going to dig deep and understand the why behind the problem and work collaboratively to solve it. So, just a plug on improvement science. You could just read a book about it, by the way, as a day school leader. And I'm a dork. It's really amazing. But I think more than that, being able to have meaningful connections with people that deeply care about education and want to be employed in schools or pursue, again, like the program I'm in, there's a lot of people that want to be assistant soups and superintendents. I think the last thing I would tell you, Barry, about like the why of the adjunct thing, and maybe this is sort of kind of novel, I think it is so important as Jewish leaders that we are also in the broader context. Staying in the Jewish day school bubble is comfortable and amazing, and I love it. And I think it's really important. Let's be more on that macro balcony level for educational leaders, whether they're at a Catholic school or a public school, or it doesn't matter, that they're seeing us as experts and that we're also engaging in that broader world and kind of learning from them. And so for me, it's sort of also my way to kind of get out of the Jewish day school world.
Sure.
And kind of be amongst professionals that are teaching in just a variety of contexts. And so I think also, by the way, like this is just my steez. This is like my thing that keeps me going because I don't have enough to do. But all of the really, really successful leaders that I feel lucky enough to know have their something. And by the way, that could just be a running routine. I met an amazing, amazing head. He goes by Mr. E. Shout out to you, Mr. E. He's in 41 years of headship. And I was speaking at the Prisma conference a week ago in Houston. And I said, "What are you doing?" And he said, "I'm doing my journaling," right? And he's this dedicated person that has been doing journaling for 41 years, that in his retirement, he's going to be writing children's books. Everyone has their different thing. It could be a hobby. It could be something that, like, it's odd that teaching a doctoral class is my hobby, but I think that you have to have that thing. This cannot be your whole world because I fear that that will lead to stagnation, kind of being stale.
Mm-hmm.
Like the best creativity and innovation comes from people that are multifaceted and dynamic. And that's who we want leading
Amazing.
our school. So
I love that. I love that. Look, I teach on the side. I also did the running routine. I actually did the Pittsburgh Marathon way back.
Lots of hills. Let's go, Barry.
Oh, so many hills. Way more hills than it felt like in a car. I love this, and I'm just gonna like put together. I'm gonna do my 30-second putting together of what we've talked about in the last 35 minutes, which is you're coming with this like energy and this attitude of we are going to hit everything. We're going to build everything. We're going to improve everything. We're going to change. We're going to move. But then I loved also seeing this other authentic side of you saying like, and I know sometimes it went a bit too quick for people. Not everything landed the way I'd hoped. And when I need to apologize and I need to recalibrate, I'm going to do that. I'm still going to be who I want to be. I'm still going to push. I'm still going to learn. I'm not going to be afraid of anything. It might be budget. It might be the purple dinosaur. I'm diving in and we're going to do this excellent. But I'm also going to have that human side. And I'm also going to fill my own tank right? For you, it's teaching. For Mr. E, it's journaling. For some of us, it's running. It's whatever it is, but it's something that keeps you balanced and enables you to keep putting in that energy. And you know, I would end off by saying thank you. It's amazing to hear this. It's amazing to see relatively new heads in the field come in with this kind of energy and passion. And we spend so much time talking about the leadership pipeline issues that, like, boom, right? We're talking now with Casey, who is a new head with all the energy in the world. And I'm sure you're going to be guiding heads, and we're going to be speaking to you multiple decades from now with that experience. But just seeing you come in with this approach, for me, gives me a lot of hope for the field broadly, in terms of, you know, if we have leaders like you with your passion, energy coming into day schools, that's a pretty good situation. So thank you for sharing all of this with us.
Barry, thank you. And again, we are one Kahila. We are one Kahila Kadosha. My mission is your mission. All of our shared mission. We want Jewish families to choose Jewish day school because this is where we're raising proud and excellent Jews. And that's it. It makes the work beautiful and meaningful and not that hard, honestly.
Amazing. So as we wrap up always, I'm going to turn to you listening and say, take something from here and try it out. It might be that thing that you haven't found yet, or you haven't put the time into, that fills you, or it might be some excellent, crazy change that you were a little bit intimidated of and now you're inspired to tackle. But whatever it is, try it out. Let me know how it goes. You can reach me, as always, Barry Kislowitz on LinkedIn, Leadership Lenses on Substack, or KislowitzConsulting.com.